Hello, I'm Katherine Stansfield. I am a poet and a novelist. I grew up in Cornwall in the southwest of England, but now I live in Wales. I've lived here for a long time, and I'm going to share some poems today from my new collection, We Could Be Anywhere by Now, which is published by Seren Books. And this is a book about travel and languages and finding a home and finding where we belong, and also moving and finding new homes. I'm really interested in the process of learning languages, how languages are taught, how we learn them. And I say that as a really hopeless linguist, but I find it really fascinating. And this new book contains quite a few poems about languages, so I thought I'd read a selection of those today. I'm going to start with second Welsh class. Our new identities are handed round on paper slips, and we work the room to greet ourselves. Who are you? What is your name? I am Mark Reese, and I am rather tired, and I can't complain, and I am fantastic. Mark is a storm he's learning to say, the easy sound shaping his mood so that he's always yown, yown, yown. But I worry for Mark and his endless cheer. How will he speak the fear that keeps him sweating in the dark before dawn, that deepest part of night? How will he find the words to own his need to leave this too small town, too far away from everywhere? I fold Mark up and shut him in my pencil case. Once he's shouting like this, it's best to be firm. Let's carry on. Where were we? I know. Who are you? What is your name? Fourth Welsh class. I am gifted the words to say. Dwi'n dysgu Cymraeg. I am learning Welsh. And the words gift my world back to me doubled. 2 peers, 2 proms, when for too long I only knew one. Dwi'n dysgu Cymraeg. I am learning Welsh. And on this new peer, new prom, are people I know, but don't. Because my sounds have been single, closing down that other world I could have heard, had I the words. Dwi'n dysgu Cymraeg. I am learning Welsh. And in them the gift of an answer, at last, to the question that starts so much. Dych chi'n siarad Cymraeg? Do you speak Welsh? But always my shame that when the woman at the hotel years ago asked me that question, I understood enough to say, na, no, and carried on in English as if no Welsh had been spoken, as if I had not understood. When I told her I didn't speak her language, in her language, what did she think? That I cared, but not enough to try, that I tried, but not enough to learn, that I learnt, but not enough to care? This the lesson I have learnt. Back then I should have lied, made out that I knew nothing. I grew up in Cornwall, and while I was living there, the Cornish language, if it was talked about at all, it was to pronounce it dead again. People seemed to be constantly doing that while I was growing up. It wasn't a language I was really aware of at all, other than it having passed. It was in moving to Wales and starting to learn Welsh, both actively and passively, that I realised I knew more Cornish than I thought I did. And that was an interesting and surprising realisation. This next poem is about a famous person in the history of the Cornish language. It's about a woman called Dolly Pentreath, who was reputed to be the last native Cornish speaker. This poem is called Talk of Her. They say she spoke no English as a maid hawking fish in Mousel. They say she was found by the language man as if she was lost. That the day he came she was raging. He thought her curses Welsh at first, then caught something else. A witch, they say, and Cornish her tongue for witching. They say she was wed and unwed. They say there was a child, a girl, though some say boy, say he died. By the end, she'd prattle anything for pence. They say she was the last to speak it, but listen. There's others here still talking, and when I dug her up last week, 47 feet southeast from the spot they had marked, her with 3 teeth in that cracked and famous jaw, I tell you, she spoke just earth and water. Soundings, Oxford. No roll for the soup, says the woman on my left, who's from Quebec and needs a post office. They give you too much food here. Here is Corpus Christi. The hall dates from 16-something and is cold. I agree, our chicken Kievs are obscene. And does she speak Quebecois? That word more delicious than anything served for lunch at this summer school. The rolls arrive too late for the soup. She's livid at this, but tells me her grandkids are bilingual. I pass her the water, slip my roll in my bag for later, being broke, but the butter won't travel. In Quebec, one parent speaks one language to their child, and the other speaks the second. A hand wants my plate. Another brings soup spoons. Too late, too late. Pudding lands, charred pineapple rings that fight my fork. Parents must be strict and keep to their allotted tongue. I tell her I'm learning Italian. Coffee? Coffee? There's only tea, said to be on its way, but it never arrives. Go to Perugia. No one will speak English to you there. The pineapple leaps for the original beams, and I've forgotten her name. You see, it's far too much. The waste. And the last poem I'm going to read is called Spaghetti al Wittgenstein, and it has a quote from Wittgenstein as an epigraph, which reads, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." We speak only Italian while cooking, to make like we've arrived in that place we're going to live. You tell me you have fork. I tell you tomatoes are good. There is much talk of onions and guessing of spoon. One of us is asking for glasses on the face, when the other wants glasses for drinking. And into this parting, silence creeps. It mutes colander, boiling, and pass me the cheese. But panic is loud in my ears. Our world will soon shrink to point and nod, regular verbs and desperate saucepans clanking out our wants. I gag on unnameable mints, blurt pasta, 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 and hope you'll know what I mean. That noise in the background, if you can hear it, is my cat who is asking for her tea. So I better go and feed her. Oh, there she is. Thank you very much for listening.